Hi, so my team is conformed by Carol, Diego, Paulo, and me, Natalia, and we're going to present about conflict resolution in school. So, the first thing that we did was search about what things cause conflict in the day life, and we found about six things. So the first thing is bad communication. The second is like different ideas. Everyone is having a different idea. The third one is the money. Of course, you're not like gaining enough money or something like that. The four are lies that I think this can come along with excuses and like don't doing the work that they have to do. Also, the fifth one are controversial topics. Not everyone wants to talk about everything, and I think that can be like something that can be like a conflict at the end of the day. And the sixth one and last is the lack of trust along teammates and along classmates or co-workers. So then we have this graphic, and we did like this survey along six different questions, and we have 33 answers in this one. So the first one is, which one of these situations do you face most often? And as we can see here, the purple one, that is clashing opinions. So this is when not everyone agree on what they're gonna do or what they're doing with the task. The other one that we have is lack of cooperation. This is one, not everyone wants to cooperate, not everyone wants to be there on time, not everyone have like this ambition to complete the work. The third one is the blue one, and is competitiveness. Obviously, we're in like a school, and this is like some kind of competition along with other people. So yeah, sometimes we're competitive along each other. The fourth one is like this beige one, and it's tension. Um, the tension can be very hurtful while doing like this task, because you don't know if you are going to take like the leadership or anyone else is going to be, but no one is taking it at the same time. So it's like this tension along all the project. The fifth one is being excluded, and this is the last one. But I also think it's quite important, because as we can see, being excluded is not having like a participation in this work. It can affect your grade, it can affect how you get along with others for another task, another project. So it can be very hurtful for you or for other classmates too.
All right. So now let's get a bit more into the actual statistics part of this presentation. One of the first questions we made is, which one of these situations do you think would make you respond in a conflictive way? And by a conflictive response, we mean a bit more aggressive, a bit more heated, like taking it a bit of a step further from a discussion or a simple dialogue. The options were lack of cooperation, tension, clashing opinions, being excluded, and competitiveness. As you can see, some of these options are quite a bit intertwined, like lack of cooperation, clashing opinions, and being excluded. Tension, which we can see, which coincidentally happen to be the three biggest factors in a conflictive response. Lack of cooperation, which is by far the most popular option, really comes from a lack of communication, a lack of communicating each other's ideas. Because if you don't communicate and you don't know what the other teammate is doing, how are you gonna make those two factors work together? It's really hard. Clashing opinions comes from the same thing. It's when the opinions you communicate are not communicated in the correct way, or even if they are communicated in the correct way, there are opposites. So you really need to talk it out before you get to a decision. And finally, tension. Tension is quite a broad term. We can really attribute it to any of the other four options, but it's also a big factor in responding in a conflictive way, as it helps to create a lot of stress, and you can't really think straight when you're stressed. The next question is, how do you think you would respond to someone initiating a conflict with you? By far, the most popular option is dialogue, which really gives us an idea of, well, that's the next question, but the best way to respond to a conflict, the best way to approach it. And the fact that dialogue is the most popular option leads us to believe that communication is the biggest factor in these different, situations. And finally, for this question, I really want to make a distinction between discussion and dialogue. It may seem like they're hand in hand, and in some ways they are, but in others, discussion is really just a step up from dialogue. It's when things get a little bit more heated, not a confrontation or a conflict, but it goes beyond just dialogue. Finally, we asked, how are conflicts around you usually resolved? Again, by far the biggest way conflicts are resolved, according to this survey, is dialogue. This really reaffirms our previous theories that communication is one of the biggest factors in creating conflict. And from these questions and a few of the next ones, we can really gather a great way to resolve conflicts by taking different factors from things that already work and creating an even better solution.
Put on our survey was, do you think that the last question is a good solution? If not, suggest a better one. With the last question, we meant of the question that how conflicts are usually resolved. Most of the people said that dialogue is the best way to resolve a conflict. I think, in my personal opinion, that it is the best way because it lets you know your point of view and the other person's point of view, and it's just a very calm way to resolve a conflict. Our next question is, who do you think would be a better at resolving conflict? Most of the people said that the participants, the people that are involved in the conflict, are the best persons that can resolve the conflict. Another part of the survey said that with a mediator would be the best way to resolve a conflict, and a little amount of people said that with an authority. Now, the last question that I'm going to say is, what do you think should happen after a conflict in order to avoid another one? Most people said that to resolve differences, and I think that that is the best way because it pretty much avoids you to offend the other person, and it lets you know what the other person is feeling and what you're feeling. You let the other person know what you're feeling.
So these are 5 tips to resolve a conflict. First, we have to listen. It's very important in the process of resolving the conflict to listen, because you need to know the other person's perspective, emotions, reasons, maybe the kind of situation he is going through, or she. Second, you need to stay calm, because sometimes the things you listen, they aren't what you wanted to listen, so you need to stay calm and listen carefully, but staying calm and try to make the best of it. Then don't blame, because we don't want to be the mad ones, but also the other person doesn't want to be the bad one. So sometimes maybe he did it, but you can't say that because that will make him or her like explode and the conflict will just start again. Then in fourth, you need to understand. Like as we said before in the second step, you need to understand the other person's perspective, emotions, and reasons because maybe that's not a reason for you, but maybe for him it was because maybe he was on a bad day, or maybe that's what he was tough to do, and what was okay and what was not. So try to understand. And finally, we need to end with a win-win solution because sometimes we make the 4 steps, but the solution we get to is only benefit for us, not for the other one. So then maybe the problem will just start again because we all want to win and we all want to be comfortable and happy. So maybe try to make a win-win solution for both of you. And well, that would be all. Thank you for your attention. And remember to stay in peace and try to avoid conflict or try to resolve it in the best way that you can and that you are able to, because we all have feelings.